Hi, and welcome to another Get Cozy and Comfortable with Your Money Fireside Chat. Today I have Max joining me. Now, I actually haven't known you for very long, and we actually met through Simon, my partner, who's doing some work with you. But we had an amazing time with you and your lovely wife, and as a result of that, that's why I've kind of asked you to do this chat. So thank you so much for giving up your time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for the invitation, Linda. Good to be here.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hand over you to tell a little bit about yourself, because you've got a very interesting business and a very interesting life.
Okay, sure. So I'm a Chief Technology and Chief Executive Officer at Zenno. Zenno is an astronautics company. I think it's the country's first astronautics company, meaning that the business, right, the value added by the company is to do with space, right?
Right.
Space only. And in our particular case, the objective that we have is to ensure that the space is explored in a sustainable and a responsible way.
Mm-hmm.
We do it, and the way we contribute towards this is by developing a particular type of engine for satellites, right? An engine that has no pollutant and in general makes satellites much more agile, so that, you know, there's no problem with space debris, space junk, collisions, and all of this, you know. Currently it's a big deal.
Yeah, well, yes, I know, because you hear a lot about sort of space junk and issues and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, that to me, with my little accounting background, is so far into the future. You know, I kind of had a moment there, you know, space, the final frontier. I'm into Star Trek land when you talk about what you do. So it's absolutely, it really is fascinating. So that's cool. And also, you know, we do detect a slight accent there. So you're not a natural born Kiwi. So you came to New Zealand when you were how old?
I was 18.
18, okay.
I was 18, yeah, and I was born in Russia. I was born in Siberia.
Mm-hmm.
To both sides of my family, mother and father, the immigrants. My mother's side is German and some Russian heritage there as well. My father is a Polish Jew. They ended up in Siberia because it was a popular place back in the day, right? To you know, to get rid of people who are not aligned with the communist agenda, right?
Right.
So they had to live in Siberia. Anyway, when I was 6, the family moved to Moscow, which is where I grew up. And when I turned 18, I came to New Zealand.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, that's huge for an 18-year-old, isn't it, to come more than halfway around the world and leave your family behind? So,
retrospectively,
yeah.
retrospectively, at the time, no worries. Everything seemed straightforward. You know, I was very confident due to ignorance, of course.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
All right. I think actually ignorance in young people drives a lot of, you know, interesting success and interesting outcomes in general.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, I agree with you too. I mean, I was little bit older. I was working at Deloitte's at the time, the accounting practice, where one of the partners walked past my desk and they were recruiting for people to go to the UK. And I just kind of put my hand up. I didn't even think about it or consider it. It was just like, oh, that sounds like fun. Let's just go and do it. And it was a great experience. And
how long did you spend there?
Well, I actually arrived there when we had the 87 stock market crash, so it was a really interesting time to move to the UK. I spent just over a year there, and then I came back to New Zealand. But yeah, it was, I think sometimes the decisions we make impulsively actually can either turn out stunningly well, or sometimes they can be stunningly bad as well. But
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was definitely an emotion-driven decision at the time for me. I mean, you could put a layer of rationalization on that, but realistically, you know, it's just emotion, just wanting to explore, really wanting to go and see other places, you know, learn something new.
Yeah. Cool, excellent. Well, actually, Amy's father, he went the other way. He went from New Zealand to Moscow, and then came back. So yeah.
Actually, I don't think it matters where you go. It's the notion of going somewhere.
It is, isn't it?
I can imagine. You know, if I was born in New Zealand, probably want to go to Russia. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's just the process of learning and going and exploring.
Exactly, it is. Yeah. Cool, excellent. All right, so let's just start with a couple of little quick questions just to warm things up a little bit. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs?
Yeah. So we do have a cat and a dog. And when our kitten was young, I remember saying, "Look, this cat is so amazing. You know, it almost looks like a puppy." Like that was that was my way of assessing whether it's a good cat or not. But dogs are just a lot more friendly, a lot more cooperative, a lot more dependent on you. And these are the things that I personally appreciate. And I mean, you extract more value from dogs as well compared to domestic cats. I mean, they service, right? You have service dogs. We don't have service cats because dogs are eager to cooperate.
Yeah.
It's in there, right? It's in their genetic makeup to cooperate. The natural cooperators, they're eager to achieve. You know, they work for for reward, an immediate reward, and it's good. You can use it to to your advantage. And they're also naturally protective of the pack, of their family. And they're open. You know exactly what a dog is thinking about. I have no idea what my cat thinks, to be honest. But my dog, right? It's either hungry or wants to play or is tired or wants a cuddle.
Yeah.
I appreciate this openness.
Well, you've met our two dogs, so you know what they're like, and we have one that's
right.
very food focused and one that's very cuddle focused. So
I love your dogs. Yeah, they're amazing.
And there is something about coming home at the end of the day when you might be totally exhausted and you may not have had the best kind of day, but your dog doesn't know that. They're just so happy to see you.
They're so happy to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. They can't help but lift your energy at the end of the day.
That's right.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So let's move on to music. Do you have a favourite song or a favourite artist that you like to listen to?
Yeah, I thought about this question. I do listen to quite just to a fair amount of music, especially these days. When I was younger, not so much. But what I've realized is that I listen to a song, and if I like it, I'll listen to it on repeat until I hate it. Not hate it, but until I am no longer enjoying it as much, And then I move on to some other song which I listen to on repeat for a long time. Strange, eh? Strange.
So you get to saturation point with a particular song.
I go through phases. I really like a song for like a month or a month and a half, and then I like another song. Yeah.
Right.
So when I look back, I can't really say which song is the one that I like the most. Like I love them all, but at the time.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I tend to use different music for different moods.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, I think that's really that's quite fun. I do occasionally when I walk the dogs down to the bottom paddock, I might put Spotify on. And as I say, I have a little dance party for one down there, which is quite fun.
Yeah. You sing as well?
Yes, because no one can hear me.
Yeah, I sing as well. I'm a very bad singer, but I sing.
Yeah, it's kind of that release, isn't it? It's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Now, this next question. This is one that I ask everybody who's willing to answer it, because the answer to this question gives us a lot of insight about life as well, because it impacts everything that we do. So your first question is, what does money mean to me?
I think it's due to my engineering background, but I really do see money merely as a form of energy. It's like an efficient way to store energy,
right?
Which you can quite easily convert to either other, forms of energy or other systems that could help you to accumulate energy, right? Or to work. Just it's great. Money is very efficient. You can easily convert this energy. And it's like a battery, essentially. Like a battery for a cell phone, battery for a laptop, battery for your ambition, maybe. That's what it is to me.
Okay, that's really interesting, because I've had the energy answer before, but not from an engineering kind of viewpoint. It's been more from that, atmosphere, energy in, energy out, and you give to receive and all that sort of thing. So it's really interesting that you've put an engineering spin on it.
True. When I say energy, I don't mean energy in a metaphysical way. I mean it truly in the, just truly a form of energy, like we would, in physics.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I would have to think about that one, because I've never even thought of money meaning that at all. That's very thought provoking. Very thought provoking.
The more energy you have, I think, the more you can achieve, provided you're more or less consistent with the vector, along which you're investing that energy. So yeah. Normally it's a combination of personal energy, like human energy, literally how active you are, how driven you are, combined with cash. or other opportunities,
Oh,
that sort of determines how far along that vector you progress.
right. Okay. So when you think about spending money, do you relate it back to that energy?
Yeah, I do, especially when it comes to running the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have a fixed amount of energy, and my primary objective as a chief executive is to determine, is to allocate resources, really.
Right.
Like, what is the smartest way, what is the most efficient way, the most reliable way to allocate these resources, to use this energy in order to achieve the objective that we have set out to achieve.
Right. Okay. So in a business context, does that mean you spend quite a bit of time researching and deciding and making those calls, or sometimes can you find it just comes to you fairly quickly?
I have a high level idea, probably doesn't go much deeper than what we have discussed.
Right.
Let's say I just have a high level gut feel almost, right, with that regard. And my way of doing things is outsourcing to those who appreciate, outsourcing their particular work to those who are eager to do it, and to those who are good at it.
Right.
So Zenno is another person, another professional who's eager to achieving in this particular direction.
Right.
Advising the company,
Yeah.
how exactly to allocate according to the
Right. Okay. And so do you take that into your home life as well? So when you're when you're in the supermarket doing the grocery shopping, do you think
I tried.
As well?
I tried. I found it not very sustainable.
Right. Okay.
Look, I'm not sure whether it is unsustainable in principle or just for me. Maybe I'm not doing it correctly, but essentially, I find myself not having enough time to maintain the budget. Well, develop a budget is not a problem, of course, right? Yes, I develop a budget for home, but then maintaining it properly and then adhering to it is quite time consuming.
Yeah.
And I mean, with this thing, you should really do it well or not do it, because you can't really draw. It's not very informative if it's not done well.
Right.
With budgets in particular. That's how I see it. So we have a budget, but we don't really adhere to it.
Okay.
At home, right? At home, it's more of a improvisation along the lines of the objectives that we have agreed on, right, with Sarah. And we have certain systems that are non-negotiable, right? We have 12 to 14 bank accounts with automatic payments, taking care of everything. Right. A system that I've once organized, and we have accounts from which we cannot withdraw, right? Well, withdraw with a 31-day notice, something like this, So we have all these systems that make it easy for us to adhere to follow the system that we've developed, and to have certain things in place. Right. Some money for the rainy day, some savings for next whatever that is, investment. But yeah, and then there's like a chunk which is just a free flow almost.
Right. Okay. Well, 12 to 4. I don't think I've come across someone who's had that many separate accounts. Okay. Yeah. I probably head out to about 6 or 7, and I think I'm doing well juggling and managing and running all of that. So well done.
Well, Linda, we're with Westpac, and Westpac literally I can't see all of my accounts.
Okay.
Because I have so many. They have a limit on how many accounts a user can see. So between my wife and I, we can see all of them, but each one of us we can't. Just bank doesn't even provision for such approach, unfortunately.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sure you'll sort out their systems for them and get them improved.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So there's quite in both home and business, it's really quite structured. But it sounds like because you've got maybe more resources and maybe
more so in business.
Yeah, you've got that.
You're right.
In business, yeah. Okay, yeah. Because I know both you and Sarah are very busy people, so sometimes I think the whole money management in the household can certainly tend to get maybe a bit overcomplicated. So we fall off the system, or there is no system.
Yeah. Linda, if I have this thought sometimes, right, that if I could, run the family finances jointly with Sarah, like we do it at Zenno, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. It would just require employing a person, and which we currently don't have in place. And I've considered that. Yeah. But every time I set up a system, I've learned through failure that unless it is very easy to follow, it will break. Probably you will not adhere to a system which is complex. Right.
That's right.
So I'm
And
very conscious.
yeah, I often say to clients, you want to run your household finances like a well-run business, because there's some businesses that have very badly managed finances as well. So you
Yes.
want to take the best from a well-run sort of business. Okay, that's cool. Really good. That's very interesting. Okay, so the next question is kind of a little bit of fun, and I'm certainly intrigued about your answer to this one. If you were dating money, what would it say about you?
Such an unusual question.
I know, that's why I put it in.
Super unusual, yeah. And I've realized, so it's different. It's different for personal and for business. For
Right.
business, I was thinking of a witty answer, and I think the answer would be, Max, do you really need to know where I go every time I go out? You
Yeah.
know? Because I'm quite controlling in business.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Literally sign every invoice at this stage of development. It makes sense, you know, and also helps to see every single dollar that goes out. You know,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
it kind of adds a bit of motivation. You know that
Yeah.
hey, man, money is coming out. Yeah, with personal finances, I don't really. I'm not sure what my
That's
money
fine.
partner would say about me. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not as definitely not as controlling.
Yeah. Okay. So controlling. Oh, okay. So I guess if we were to relate that to kind of life and go, if you were very controlling, then you might find some pushback later on down the track. Do you think that might happen in business? Is this a methodology that you intend to always have in business, or do you think you might loosen that relationship a little bit and let money have a little bit more breather space?
Yeah, I think it'll be a huge bottleneck if I continue to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But for this stage of development,
Yeah.
it is appropriate. We're
Yeah.
probably nearing very soon, right? And if maybe 6 to 9 months or so,
Mm-hmm.
in 6 to 9 months time, where if I were to do it, it would be just detrimental to the business.
Mm.
And I'm very open to a different approach, and I'm looking forward to it, right? But again, to change the approach, I do require, we currently do require more resources to set up different systems, which
Mm-hmm.
would allow us going forward to save time and energy.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess this is exactly the thing, we're talking about when we talk about money in this kind of dating relationship, it does go through phases, and there are phases where you have to have that really tight kind of control. And then once you get used to each other a little bit, then maybe you can loosen and change and
That's
morph
right.
into something new. You're not always going to stay with the same relationship all the time, because that would just be boring anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I also think they're very fresh thoughts, right? I haven't considered them for long, but it probably pays to change the way you approach money as you progress. It's inevitable, really. You have to do it, otherwise you will stagnate. I think you'll just be kept by the beliefs, right? And you will not progress.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to this evolution within my mind with regards to money.
Yeah, and certainly, when we started looking at the business and working with clients, I actually thought that it would be major life events that would cause people, to move that relationship with money, and that certainly does happen, because if you think about starting a family, that's a huge thing, or buying a business or doing what you're doing, starting up businesses and things like that. But sometimes it's also really small things that can trigger a change like that. So it's not always a big major thing that puts you into that next stage of your relationship, which I found really interesting, because that's not something that I really expected to see, as I progressed through the journey. So yeah.
Linda, I must agree with you, actually. The last time I've observed a significant change with regards to money was when Sarah and I got together, right?
Yep.
So I remember reading a ton of books on certain things, trying to get better. Yeah, and that was quite a rapid change. But since then, I've been evolving rather than rapidly changing.
Yes, exactly. And that's classic when two people come together and you've got your way of being with money and your little relationship with money, and then they come in with their relationship with money, and then you're trying to pull it together. It's almost like there's four of you in the relationship, not just the two of you, because you've got to work through this other kind of processes that are going on in the background. Cool, excellent. Okay, so if you were to turn back the clock, what would be your biggest learning, or or something that you might do a little bit differently?
with regards to money, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely, when I look back, definitely I've made a huge number of mistakes, right? But attempting to do things I have never done before, right? Not thinking things through thoroughly, painful mistakes. What I've learned though is that painful mistake is actually extremely valuable. I cherish painful mistakes because they teach me so much, right? And I really remember this lesson, yeah. So for that reason, I choose not to change anything in the past because, you know, all of the errors allowed me to learn things which I wasn't aware of otherwise. Yeah. So what was the second part of the question then?
Okay, so what would you do? What would you take from that learning that maybe you would do a bit differently next time?
Oh, right. Yeah. What I have learned is that you pay what you get for. Sounds very simple. Seems to be true for me, right? Like I tried many times, so many times I tried to cut corner, and many times I thought I have succeeded, but then, you know, sometime later, you know, you actually pay for it, and you pay more normally than you would have otherwise to begin with, you know. So I've learned, if you want quality, you have to pay for quality, right? The other lesson that seems to be very valuable for me is what I keep in my mind is you make money when you buy it, not when you sell it, or not when you know, not when you. They seem to be a little contradictory, but they're not in reality, right? So the first one I use, right, to allow myself to go for quality, but the second one I use to allow myself to negotiate where necessary, you know, if it is not a fixed price or anything. Or maybe buying at the right time, you know. Or not
Actually,
necessarily negotiating.
That's a very good point, isn't it? Yes, you make your money at the front end, not necessarily at the back end.
Yes, I applied this to purchasing a house. Buying a house with my wife definitely was, definitely negotiation paid off, so to speak.
Yeah.
I have some background in real estate previously. I spent 5 years in New Zealand. That's why, you know, property in particular to me is quite intuitive. You know, when it comes, you know, this lesson in property is very intuitive.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone that I've spoken to has said exactly the same thing. We've all made mistakes. We've all done dumb things with money, but the whole thing is you take the learning from it, and I think that's what sets a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs apart, is because it's like, it's actually okay to fail, or it's actually okay to make a mistake. Just make sure you actually learn from it and try really hard not to do that same mistake again.
Yeah, I fully agree. I actually feel almost slightly uncomfortable when things are too good for too long, because it means you're not really learning much, you know?
Yeah.
But of course, you can't artificially create a problem that makes no sense.
No,
so,
that's right.
Right, this even this was the question.
And there
you
does
can sit there and wait for your next lesson.
Yeah, there comes a point, I guess, where you actually want to be able to slow that roller coaster ride down and sort of flatten the curve a little bit. Okay, cool, excellent. So, if you had $1,000 right now, what would you spend it on?
So, today I would say I'd spend it on a consultant, on a professional who would teach me how to do the things that I do better, and who would also potentially teach me or make me aware of the things that I am not aware of currently. You know, sometimes you have the questions to ask, but sometimes you don't ask the right question, right? Yeah, because you're not aware of this. So I've learned that this is actually very valuable, to be able to ask the right questions. And consultants have been super useful for me in business in particular, you know, just make things get a lot better.
It's that old adage, we don't know what we don't know.
That's right.
Okay, all right. And so what would have been either the most impulsive or the most frivolous purchase you've made?
So here's like nothing profound, really. Nothing profound. With me, I think if I were to go for the accumulative champion when it comes to being, you know, frivolous, the type of purchase would be food. Right? I like to eat out. I don't like to cook. And I hate to clean up. And I need to eat, right? So these three things combined, they lead to me spending, you know, a fair amount of money frivolously, I would say.
Right.
Where, you know, on just food. Yeah.
Okay.
But if I were to think of a one-off example,
Mm-hmm.
that would be buying a motorcycle when I was a student,
Okay.
and like spending my last whatever, there's $1,500 on it, but then having a motorcycle which I couldn't maintain even. It was great though. The motorcycle was really good.
Okay. It's interesting, isn't it? We've all done something that's either
Yeah.
been sort of frivolous or impulsive, and I think it's
Yeah.
you know, it's just human nature, isn't it? Every now and then we just have to let loose and do something.
Yeah. One thing I've observed is that you actually derive like similar amount of joy from, you know, it's almost disproportionate to the amount you spend, right? It's like if you feel like treating yourself, you don't actually need to go, you know, crazy on this. You can just buy something that doesn't cost much, but you'll still get that satisfaction.
Yes, exactly. You still get that little
Or,
dopamine hit,
right,
don't you? Yeah.
all my rule is, if you really want it, you know, sleep on it.
Yes.
See if you want it next day, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I always have the count to 10 rule, because that's long
Yeah.
enough for their rational brain to kick in and the emotions
That's
to
right.
start
Yeah.
to settle down. Yeah, yeah. And I did
And
say,
yeah.
quite funny, I did that with one couple, and it was the husband. He said, I'm not even brave enough to go shopping with my wife, let alone try and get her to count to 10. That's honest.
That's a fun relationship there.
Yeah. Okay, look, thank you so much. It's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. I've got some really interesting
Thank you,
things
Linda.
to ponder on. Now, we're going to pop your business website below, because it's absolutely fascinating, you know, what
That's
you're
great. Thank you.
doing and what you're setting out to do. So if anyone did want to talk to you further, what would be the easiest way for them to get hold of you?
It's either my email or just our website. Actually, it's not a bad way. It's Zenno, ZENNO .space, SPACE.
Fantastic. All right. That was
My
wonderful. Thank
contact
you
address
so
there.
much. Well, there you
Thank
have
you,
it.
Linda.
Another cozy and comfortable fireside chat, and we will be back with some more soon. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye-bye.